Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This, my friends, is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios on a beautiful Monday morning. This episode 1011 of the most incendiary show on the radio. We spelled radio. Alexa, play the Clay Edwards Show. Let's wake everybody up in the house this morning. We are on 103.9 FM, the Big Stick, from out here in Florida, Mississippi, broadcasting live all throughout central Mississippi. We're streaming worldwide in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. And I've been seriously thinking about consolidating the streams down to maybe just YouTube and Rumble and X. Basically, I'm thinking about, as I sat here and preached to Andrew Gosser for the last 2 weeks about how important it is to stream to Facebook, I'm beginning to question that. And I think it's detrimental to the growth of the channel at YouTube, because I think YouTube is the one place where the algorithm truly works for all of its flaws. I'm seriously considering pushing the Facebook viewers to YouTube and then loading up a edited version of the show to Facebook later in the day, because YouTube truly favors the live streams. Anyway, if you're out there listening, let me know what y'all think about that. If you're watching on Facebook, would you migrate to another platform, YouTube, X, or Rumble? Or is it, hey, it's Facebook or bust? Because my ego ain't so big that I won't listen to that. You know, I'm just curious. So let me know. For some reason I hear an echo in my headphones. Not bad, but just a little. Hey, I'm talking to myself because I don't have a producer. Look, it's a big day. It's a big day here in central Mississippi. Before we get to that, real quick, we got a cool guest coming up in hour 2 for about a half hour. I want to pull her name up here because it was we had to make a little change at the last second due to an emergency. The folks from over at the Mississippi Hand and Burn Rehabilitation Center are sending over, and forgive me if I get this name wrong, Miss Genevieve. I just watched that Alto Nights movie this weekend, talked about the Genovese crime family and whatnot. Miss Genevieve Conan, to discuss firework safety and just how bad it can go if it goes wrong, and some of the extreme cases of rebuild surgeries they've had to do due to fireworks blowing up in people's hands and whatnot. At least that's my assumption based on the emails that we're going to be talking about. So looking forward to that. We'll do that from about 8 to 8:30. Coming up in hour 3 on the Heavy Hitters show this morning, the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show that we do every Monday from 9 to 10. We're going to have John White, owner, CEO, operator of Two Gun Tactical, in the studio here to discuss all the things going on at Two Gun. But more so than what's going on at Two Gun, we're going to get John's story, how Two Gun came to be. I like hearing the business side of things, the entrepreneur side of stuff, and I'm very interested in John's story and how he came to be. Who is John White? What is his business techniques? What has he learned after years in business now? What is some advice he would give to people who are looking to get into the gun business, the indoor shooting range business? What are some things he's encountered? What are some stupid taxes he's paid that he can tell others they need to avoid? Those are the type of questions I like asking these entrepreneurs. What does he call success? So stay tuned. Hour 3, we'll have John White here in the studio. All right, the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. Huge day here in central Mississippi. Today is the last day of the LUMUMBA'S reign of terror here in the capital city. And frankly, in the Tri-County area, because as Jackson goes, the surrounding area tends to go. And what you're seeing is so bad in Jackson, in certain areas, or it has been, that criminals are criminals and criminality are spilling over into other areas. I mean, I just don't think y'all understand, if you live in Brandon, the job that Pearl and Richland and Flowood do keeping Jackson out of Brandon. And this is no knock on the Brandon PD or any of that either, by the way. I think Brandon PD does a good job, and I think Chief French is a great, great leader over there. Really, really like that guy. But my point is, I just don't think that people understand Pearl and Flowood and Richland to an extent are absolutely Operation Human Shield for the rest of Rankin County when it comes to keeping Jackson at bay. And obviously we're not talking about all Jacksonians, but let's just be honest. The overwhelming criminality in the area comes from Jackson, and it is Jacksonians. So hopefully with the LUMUMBA'S gone, a new emphasis put on Jackson Police Department and allowing them to, I don't know, actually do their jobs. And maybe they'll stop with the woke DEI hires and the promotions. Oh, you've been here 1,000 days? Well, you're automatically up for a promotion. We got to stop that. No. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. So hopefully we'll get back to that. But it's the LUMUMBA'S reign of terror is coming to an end. And I've got a bunch of numbers that back all this up. This has been the worst 8 years in the history of the city post-Reconstruction. It's seen its greatest shrinkage. It's seen its most deaths. It's been insanity. I'm going to tell you how many people have died. I'm going to tell you how many of those people were black and how many were white. We got all the numbers. We're going to tell you how many people left the city. We're going to talk about some of Chokwe's biggest flops and some of his greatest successes. I'm just kidding. He's had 0 successes. Literally 0 things that he can say that he can hang his hat on, that anybody else would look at and say, man, yeah, he did a great job. Now, in their world, in him and Rakia's world, Rakia's his sister, if y'all don't know, in him and Rakia's world, dismantling the police department is something to hang their hat on. So if that's it, then kudos. Good job there. If manipulating the trash contracts to get the vendor you wanted and keeping the city without trash pickup for nearly a month is success, then boom, shakalaka boom. You've been successful. If converting the Metro Center parking lot, it's starting to sound like those you might be a redneck lines. If converting the Metro Center parking lot and other shopping centers throughout the area, Colonial Mart out on Ridgewood Road, if converting these lots into open city dumps to landfills during the trash crisis of incompetence are successes, then yes, again, boom, shakalaka boom, you are successful. Now we can talk about the water. Oh, can we talk about the water? I mean, I don't know what else we can say about the water. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for Clay Edwards. Well, it was that, and it was a combination of Anthony Fox and what happened there. There's another prime example of failures or successes, depending upon your perspective, of the Lumumba administration. Setting examples out of policemen who do their job. Hey, you do your job too good, we will pin a murder on you and send you to prison. Don't you even think about uncovering my alleged activities in the drug trade. Allegedly, of course. What about boat rides? The Chokwe like boat rides. There's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. We're going to hit it all coming up in the next segment. I got an hour this morning with no guest, no phone calls. It's all Clay. We're going to change in the way we do phone calls on this show, too. I'm no longer opening the phone line up to just random calls. If you want to call in, shoot me a text first to the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Tell me what you want to talk about. And if it's something that I want to talk about, then we'll talk about it. I will call you from the Mazda of Jackson phone line. But I'm not going to be taking open blind calls any longer. So if you want to call in, shoot me a text. Tell me what you want to talk about to 769-241-1944. Some big news. I told y'all we were going to drop a lot of new FAFO merch this morning. We did. I spent all weekend updating the website at buyfafo.com, buyfafo.com, or if you're watching online, you can see the ClayEdwardsShow.com there on the bottom of the screen. If you go to ClayEdwardsShow.com, just click the FAFO merch link at the top of the page, or just go to buyfafo.com, and you'll see it all there. 25 new hats, about 6 new shirt designs, and every shirt design, with the exception of one, is available in 3 to 4 different colors. We updated the shirt that I'm wearing, the FAFO Real American Hero G.I. Joe themed logo. We updated it with stuff on both sleeves. That's something you guys have been asking for. We're offering a shirt with my OG round Clay Edwards Show logo with the skull and the microphone and the beard and all that. We got it in large print on the back with a small stacked FAFO on the front. We've got different versions of that. Ladies, we got pink shirts available in different designs, and hats. I'm telling you, we got 25 different hats. You've asked for Bottomland camo. You got it. You asked for duck camo. You got it. You asked for urban camo. You got it. And, of course, we got the traditional colors as well, black with the white mesh, black with the gray mesh. Tons of new logos in the FAFO. And we even got one hat that I'm not going to post a picture of it online. I don't like using cuss words in my stuff, but we've got a effed around and found out, but it actually spells the F word out. And it looks like a Make America Great Again hat. It's red with the white stitching. It only will be available ever online. So I'm really excited. This is a full merch line. The FAFO flags are also available. Everything is print to order. So give it 7 to 10 days on delivery. Just be a little patient with me, but it allows us to offer a lot more designs doing it this way. It's all still locally made. I'm still doing business with my other vendors, but on this stuff, this stuff is just doing something a little bit different because I wanted to be able to keep offering inventory and keep offering merch and be able to test some new merch designs without having to commit to 25 to 100 shirts or whatever the case may be. This way, lets us know what works, what doesn't. So when we go to the wildlife extravaganza in a couple weeks, I know what to bring with me. I at least got an idea of what you guys like. Also, one of my favorite shirts, I posted a picture of this in the Facebook group earlier, but you just need to go to the website, look for yourself. We did a military green, a G.I. Joe FAFO with the American flag on one arm, full color, and my round Clay Edwards Show logo on the other, and we took the Clay Edwards Show off from the bottom on the front. I'm just really excited about this stuff. We put a lot of work into this, a lot of money in the designs, a lot of effort. I'm super excited about it, and I want to thank Miss Linda Brown. She ordered a hat at 6:30 this morning. I dropped a sneak peek of it early in the Facebook group, the Clay Edwards Show Facebook group, and snap, she snatched it right up. So the merch is live. It is available. Please go check it out at buyfafo.com. And I did just mention the Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza. That's right. I will be there live Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with my own booth. But aside from that, That's right, the 38th annual Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza, Mississippi's annual Great Outdoors Reunion and home of the Magnolia Records Big Buck Contest is coming. It's July 18th through 20th at the Muse Center in Pearl, the Clyde Muse Center in Pearl. Over 50 new exhibitors this year, including the all-new market at the Ganza in the Muse Annex. It's arts, crafts, and boutiques, especially for the ladies. Tons of kids' activities, food, fun, and fellowship at the Ganza. Don't miss out July 18th through 20th, the Clyde Muse Center in Pearl. And guys, the Buck Commander folks are going to be there this year. Super excited about that. My friend Heather Smith and Ashley Jones will both be there, some of the celebrities. I'll be there, somewhat hosting, giving away guns, all kind of stuff for the 3 days. Can't wait. Going to be a blast. Mark your calendars now. July 18th through 20th. It's the 38th annual Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza in Rankin County right there in Pearl. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on WYAB. To the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Streaming worldwide, WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. We are inside the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at 042 Wine and Spirits right there in Brandon, Mississippi, right there in Crossgates. Guys, I posted some pictures of some inventory that they have available, some special inventory they have available right there. I posted on Friday when I got off the air, and man, clearly I hit a spot with some of you guys because several of you called me asking me some questions about pricing, which I clearly did not know. But y'all were tagging your friends and stuff, so clearly we hit a soft spot in a good way on what they had available there. So it let me know that I really needed to bring this to air this morning. Over there at 042 Wine and Spirits, they've released their very own private barrel Buffalo Trace. This is huge. This is as big as for Four Roses. I mean, they got 042, Central Mississippi's very own, Rankin County's very own 042 Wine and Spirits has its own signature select bottle of, maybe it's not signature, maybe I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. I'm kind of new to promoting liquor, believe it or not, when it comes to different bourbons and whiskeys, but they got their own private select barrel of Buffalo Trace. And they've also got their special allocation cabinet of rarities, freshly stocked. And they also have, and look, again, I apologize if I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about here. They've also got their own special barrel of Project X Penelope, straight bourbon whiskey, finished in a Gloroso sherry cask. That sounds good. So swing by, check them out today. Man, this special allocation cabinet looks really good. They've got an Eagle Rare, aged 10 years. They've got a Basil Hayden 10-year. Tyler Tharp just texted, said he had some of that Project X, and it is phenomenal. Thank you, Tyler. Hope you didn't mind me reading your text on air there. They've got the green and red label Weller. They got the Blantons. So I got a bottle of Blantons as a gift the other day. And, man, I've been kind of sipping on it really, really just like pour about a shot on some rocks. And it is good. I'm not doing like real ice. I'm doing like the frozen cubes. Good stuff there. Anyway, that's 042 Wine and Spirits. Highway 80 right next to Sonny's Barbecue. They've got some really, really unique bourbons and whiskeys currently available there. And I always try to buy a bottle. There's this private Christmas party that we're invited to every year that Kingfish doesn't allow us to tell anybody about. And, did I just tell everybody that Kingfish throws a Christmas party every year? Whoopsie. And you have to bring a gift. And go for a Secret Santa. And I always try to bring a good bottle of whiskey. And proudly, it is one of the first things taken and fought over throughout the event. I did a bottle of Buffalo Trace a couple years ago. Something me and Fred Shanks always go to. Good times. Good times. I don't know if Fred's invited back, but anyway, good times either way. I kid. All right. The LUMUMBA'S reign of terror. What are some of the things? Let's break down the murder, shall we? Oh, I love talking about murder in Jackson. Not because I think it's a good thing, but because I think if you don't continue to shine a light upon it, that it continues to fester and grow and no accountability is taken. And we did a special, I talked about this the other day. We talked about just how good of a job the Capitol Police have done and how good of a job the HB 1020 bill has done. And for all that fighting against it from guys like Jeff Good and others, people who stood to benefit the most from a safe Jackson, virtue signaling and fighting against HB 1020, I'm just mind boggled. I want to cuss right now. I'm effing mind boggled that anybody would have stood up and spoke out against HB 1020 that stood to benefit from it the most. But I mean, it's hard to argue the guy's business success. It's hard to argue any of the stuff he's done charitably, and I won't. I can compartmentalize things. Things can be separate. I can have a lot of respect for you in this, and then look at you like, what the F with this? And this is one of the things that's like, what the F? But that's fine, and I can still like and respect him, but not as much, because I know, and I knew, and I'm not a rocket scientist, engineer, or even a potential future astronaut, and I knew that HB 1020 was going to be good for the city of Jackson, because I looked at the people who were fighting against it and said, I never want to be on the same side of anything they're on. They're always on the wrong side of history. Every single time. Undefeated. They're on the wrong side of history. So I was like, this is going to work. And lo and behold, it's worked. Jackson's new mayor was against it. Wonder what John Horn's thoughts are on it now. Wonder what John Horn's thoughts are on it now. So let's discuss some of the murder numbers, shall we? And a shout out to WLBT. I haven't said their name in a while. They're just a local news source now. They've updated their Jackson homicide tracker with a lot more detailed information. Jackson is still ranked the #1 city in America based on homicide rates at 25.1, with St. Louis coming in second, Memphis third, Louisville. Oh, is it Louisville when we say Louisville, Kentucky? Louisville, Kentucky? Because it's Louisville when you talk about Mississippi. Anyway, Louisville coming in fourth, Baton Rouge coming in fifth. So that's your top 5 major cities by homicide rate. And let's be honest, Jackson, Mississippi is not a major city. That's why it actually doesn't make the top of a lot of lists, because it doesn't have quite enough population to be considered a major city. So it's left off a lot of lists. People will send me lists of the top 10 deadliest cities in America, and Jackson's not on it. They're like, look, all that talk about Jackson and ain't even in the top 10. Because it's based on population, and Jackson doesn't meet certain criterias for population numbers, is why it's not on that particular list. But trust me, y'all know I love to say this. It's a little Wayne quote from a song Single Again, a remix he did with Trina after they broke up. Yes, I used to keep up with rap drama. It's a, he know, she know, I know, everybody know, or I know, he know, she, that's it. I know, he know, she know, everybody know. I ain't got a damn G4. Anyway, back to it here. Before I jump too far down that rabbit hole. Yeah, your boy did some show prep last night. Let me pull my notepad out here. Chokwe Antar Lumumba. We're going to run over a few minutes here. Chokwe Antar Lumumba was sworn into office on July 1st, 2017. Now, in 2017, I was not able to track this exactly down to the starting date because there was a little error with the WLBT murder tracker. But I have done these numbers before. I just didn't keep up with them. So in 2017, the city ended with, where'd it go? In 2017, the city ended with 64 homicides. It basically split the difference. There was 32. There was right at 32 homicides on July 1st through June 30th. And over the next, July, August, September, October, November, December. Over the next 6 months, 6 months, there was another 32 homicides. So I just said 32. Actually, for some reason, I wrote 37 down, so I'll just subtract a couple at the end of this. There were 37 homicides, 32 homicides, the remainder of the year after Chokwe got sworn in. From then through June 30th, right now, 2025, there's been 843 homicides in the city. 843 since June 3rd. I'm sorry, July 1st. So I've got so many dates and numbers written down on this sheet of paper. You may be asking yourself, Clay, or maybe you're not asking yourself. You'd be kind of weird if you did. But I asked myself, Clay, I wonder how many of those were white versus black. Because these are the type of questions I like to ask myself when I'm alone, watching TV on a Sunday. Because for the guy that screamed blackity black, 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 who took being black for a living to levels that we didn't even think were possible here in central Mississippi as he transformed Jackson into the most radical city in America. How many of those do you think were black that died? Well, I'm glad you asked. 804 of the 843 were black. 39 of them being white. And there was a few odd categories like Indian. And I'm guessing those were gas station or hotel owners that got killed. It was like one or two. But the overwhelming majority were black. 804 to be exact. Black people were killed on LUMUMBA'S watch. That is genocide levels of homicide in the city of Jackson. We're going to unpack that a little bit. We're going to unpack some of the shrinking numbers and just some more of his lowlights. And we'll look at a comparative history as well. Because y'all love to say, well, what about when it had a white mayor? What about when it had a Republican mayor? Well, tell me you're not educated without telling me you're not educated. Jackson, Mississippi's never had a Republican mayor. Not one. Not a single Republican mayor in the history of Jackson. It just has some old white Dixiecrats running the city for a little while. And clearly they do a better job than the black for a living free the landers. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the show, the Clay Edwards Show, the most incendiary show in all of central Mississippi, the show that drives the mentally unhinged closer to the edge with every episode. That's right. Men's Mental Health Awareness Month is wrapping up today, and I'm a little sad about it because it has brought the absolute crazies out the last couple of weeks. I don't know what we're going to do with them. Do they go back into hiding when Men's Mental Health Awareness, do the poster children for this month go back into hiding, or do they stay out in the open? I'm kind of dealing with this for the first time, so I'm just curious. Do they go away when this month ends? Do the crazy house people bring them back in, or do they just unleash them just to let the world know just how big of a mental health problem we have out in Rankin County in particular? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Anyhow, this segment brought to you by our friends over there at Guns and Gear, Highway 471. Not Highway 471. I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? This is brought to you by Ellis Autoplex. I said 471. We'll go that path. They're open today. Swing by, see Casey and the team today, Highway 471, Flowood, Mississippi. Casey called me up Saturday morning or texted me Saturday morning and said, hey, swing by, I got a gift for you. You got something for you. So after driving the Viper around for a little bit, enjoying in the making the haters mad, in the Hellcat Eater, in the Demon Eater, the Viper, went down and saw Casey, and man, he gave me a book. I won't tell you what book because that's private, but he gave me a book with a nice handwritten note on the inside, and I really, really appreciated that, man. It's just the relationship you develop with people that doing this through the years. And Casey and I have worked together. I've worked for him, and now we've become good friends and partners. Now, as I say partners, we have a partnership with the show and the advertising stuff. Just good people, man. There was a couple in there from the Clay Edwards show, and their names elude me because I'm terrible with names. If I don't say it back to you 5 or 6 times, I will immediately forget it. That's the only way I can remember names. But a husband and a wife were there buying a white Toyota Limited 4Runner. And it was so weird because they didn't even know I was going to be there. And they had just told them that we came to Ellis Autoplex because Clay Edwards co-signed on you guys and said that y'all treated people right and that they trusted what I said. And guys, I'm going to tell you what, that meant so much to me to hear that, because I mean this when I tell y'all, I take these advertisers treating these customers right very seriously, very seriously. And I know that they do. And if they don't, they won't be advertisers for much longer at all. And I know Casey and them take care of folks when I send them down there. So be one of those folks. Go down there, get taken care of. Check out their huge selection of 4-door, 4-wheel drive pickups. But as I just said, they have other vehicles too, like a white limited Toyota 4Runner. EllisAutoplex.com. Don't forget, they buy vehicles too. That'll make you a fair market value offer and cut you a real check today. No counterfeit nonsense. No nonsense. I'm trying to keep these ad reads short. Ellis Autoplex. All right. We got our guest over waiting to come in here at the top of the hour. She's going to be in here about 30 minutes talking about burn, firework safety. So let's jump back into murder, mayhem, and the LUMUMBA'S here in central Mississippi. So 843 homicides since the LUMUMBA'S were sworn in. And when I say the LUMUMBA'S, I mean more than Chokwe, because you got his sister too. And the detriment that her 501(c)(3)s or her nonprofits have done to this city, it may never recover from, in my opinion. Dr. Safari Amari, his chief of staff. I could go on and on and on, but here's a trend I want to talk about. In the homicides since 2017, let me check off a few boxes here real quick. And look, we also know that the 99.9% of the murderers were black. So you were getting a tragic 2-for-1 with the overwhelming majority of these homicides. You end up with somebody dead, and you end up with somebody in the prison system for years. From the community that keeps telling us that everything bad that happens to them is because of racism. I don't know, man. That mirror may tell you way more than you want to know. But one of the striking things about these homicides, I'm having a hard time with their new layout here. Here we go. Detailed breakdowns. I want to take up the age group of the people dying. Now, this is going back to 2017. 62 of these homicide victims, of the 843, 62 of them were under 17 years old since Lumumba took office. They killed their best and brightest. They killed their youngest. They could have been future rocket scientists, astronauts, or engineers legitimately. Dead. And here's the most telling age group here. And I wish it was broke down 18 to 25. Really, 18 to 21 would be interesting. But 18 to 29, at 35.1% of the overall homicides, 315 of them, of Chokwe Lumumba's homicide victims during his genocide reign of terror, 18 to 29-year-olds, 315. Here's my age group, 30 to 49-year-olds, with the second largest percentage. But let me back up real quick. As far as the percentage rate goes on the 62 0 to 17-year-olds, 6.9%. I would love to know what the youngest was. They got 0 to 17. Like, did we kill an infant? Did we murder an infant less than a year old in Jackson? Of course we did. I just can't remember who it was. Sure, it was somebody that was asleep and took a bullet obviously intended for somebody else. Then 18 to 29-year-olds, 315 with 35.1%. And then here it is, my age group, 30 to 49-year-olds with 30.9%, coming in second place. 277 adults were murdered. 277. Now, the 18 to 29-year-olds is very interesting because that's that teenage age group that is out there wreaking the most havoc. I bet you over 50% of these were 18 to 21-year-olds. I would love to know that number because they are by far the deadliest bunch of folks out there on the streets right now. Really, I would say I would like to see the number 17 to 21, 16 to 21, somewhere in there. Driver's license age to 21. Because, once they get over 21 years of age in some of these urban black communities, just because of the clip that they're getting killed at, they're considered OGs if they're still out on the streets and not dead or in prison. In certain pockets of that community where the culture rot is absolutely destroying it. Then 50 plus year olds, 10.9% of these homicides, 98 of them, 98 people over 50. And this is strange, unknown. 145 unknown age. How do we not know their age? Some of the victims by race there's this huge unknown category. It was 503. I know it's black. I don't have to. It ain't unknown. It's black. So I just added it all. I lumped all together and made it black because we know it's black. I'm not saying that to be facetious, but we know unknown. You know, I know, he knows, she know, everybody know. It's black. And what's wild is, and I got to take a break, what's wild is just how big of a drop we've had in the last year. Over 40% since Capitol Police has firmly rooted control of Jackson. And does that mean there's not some good JPD officers? Of course there's some great JPD officers. It just ain't enough of them. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back to land the plane for hour one. These folks have a tenacity for killing one another. And so much of it could have been avoided with good policing. So much of it. Can they predict crime? I used to say no, but I think there's some pretty obvious signs of things you can do to prevent crime nowadays. And when you see a certain bunch of folks in a particular age group gathered around out on the porch, out in the front yard, in gas station parking lots, playing basketball, you can just about guess that there's a high propensity that something violent is going to happen. I mean, I don't make the rules. These are just facts. Don't get mad at me. Y'all, you only get mad at me because I'm white saying it. And I know there's going to be all the people, we want to talk about what's going on in Brandon. Some white guy 5 states over killed some people yesterday. What are you going to talk about the white guy in Idaho that killed the fireman? No, I'm not. I don't have to go across the country to talk about crime. I talk about it right here. I don't do the whataboutisms. We talk about Jackson, Mississippi, and the surrounding areas. Michael Applewhite says, for those 800, another 2,000 to 5,000 were shot and stabbed but lived. And, that is a wildly unreported number. That's the number I would be more interested in, is gunshot and knife wound survivors. Aggravated assault victims. That's what attempted murder is in Mississippi, is aggravated assault. I would love to know how many aggravated assault cases were brought forth in Mississippi or in Jackson. That's probably a number that we could get. But then I guess you would also have to figure out, that'd just be the ones that actually got charged. But I'm interested in just how many people showed up to the hospital with gun and knife wounds that didn't die. I was going to talk about some other things, but I've got this guest coming up here in just a minute. We're going to have her in the studio for 2 segments. Then we'll circle back to this topic, the second half of the next hour. Y'all don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Don't forget, the website is up and rolling, buyfafo.com. All new merch available now. Swing by, check it out, buy something. We'll be right back to land the plane for hour 1. Coming up here in hour 2, we've got some folks in to talk about firework safety and just how dangerous some fireworks blowing up in your hands can be. That doctor is, see if I can get my name pulled up here right in time. It's Genevieve Colnon with the Mississippi Hand and Burn Rehabilitation Center. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in 7 minutes on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to hour 2 of the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB, streaming worldwide at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. We are on 103.9 FM. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but we have got a guest in the studio, and I'm going to get to her in 1 second. But hey, we are in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studio, so you know what that means, guys. Are you struggling with symptoms of low testosterone? Those symptoms include, but not limited to, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, and sleep disturbances, and a whole host of other things that you could attribute to low testosterone that I've had a lot of people, myself included, overcome since getting on treatment and getting testosterone levels back right. But we'll keep this short and sweet for now. Text Clay to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550 today, and they're going to get you hooked up with a complimentary testosterone screening. Hey, ladies, what about you? Don't need testosterone? You may, but they offer that as well. However, they do offer the compounded semaglutides, so need to lose some weight. They got you covered there. Men, you qualify for that as well. So reach out to them today, whether you need weight loss or testosterone. Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi. It's easy. Text Clay for either option to 601-327-8550. And as I say all that, I just remembered that they gave me another text number that I need to update there. I think that one will still work, but I will update the new text number here before the end of the show. All right. We got Miss Genevieve Coleman in the studio with me. With the Miss Genevieve, tell us who you're with exactly.
I'm with the Mississippi Burn, Hand, and Reconstruction at Baptist Medical Center. We're the largest and most experienced burn center in the state. It is
so relieving to know that we've got a burn center here in central Mississippi now. If we were talking off air, that I knew the one in Greenville, that's the one that was so well known in the area, and it shuttered a few years ago.
Oh, that shuttered over about 2 decades ago.
Okay, then there's another one. There was one in North Mississippi that I'm thinking of. There was one that closed here in the last few years.
You're talking about the JMS Burn Center at Merritt Health Central. We were the team there, and when we got the news that Central would be closing the burn center, we would look for a new home. And Baptist offered us an incredible space, an incredible home. We've got 34 beds and beds in the pediatric floor, our own dedicated outpatient clinic space and outpatient therapy space, hydrotherapy, and decon.
Pull that mic a little closer to
you.
There we go. And that is so good to know. We all know nobody wants to ever have to end up at any kind of burn center for anything. I'll see these reports of somebody being in an accident or something, and like X percentage of their body, something greater than 50%, covered with third-degree burns or whatnot. And I feel so bad for them. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I want to mention it because it was one of those eye-opening things. Is I burned like my upper hip area here on a heating pad from a back injury a few weeks ago, where I sciatic nerve, something or another. I mean, it doesn't matter. But I was using the heating pad to try to make the pain go away some, and I burned myself, and it blistered, and it just that one little spot about the size of a silver dollar type area. It burned, it blistered, it popped, and it is scarred. It hurt really, really, really bad. Just that one little area. I mean, sensitive to any touch, and it's scarred now. And I don't foresee that scar going away. And I just thought, man, this me with this one little spot here. I was thinking about somebody with that all over their body after a tragic accident, and how bad that must feel. So when they reached out, I know it's some kind of silly using my one little spot as my example for wanting to do this, but when y'all reached out about wanting to come on and talk about firecracker safety and awareness, I was like, that's absolutely something that's real, and I don't think people understand. People kind of joke, oh, look at them. They fa-foed. They were playing with fireworks, and it blew up in their hand, whatever. But it's really serious, and it is extremely painful. And whether it's you, your children, or anybody else, just that one little pain right there on my hip is something that I was like, I don't want anybody to have to experience that, especially in wide-ranging.
Burns can be absolutely devastating. And it's not just the initial injury, but also the reconstruction and the rehabilitation can be very difficult for patients to go through. And we offer a wide range of services, including lasers, to get rid of the pain and the itch of post-burn injuries. But the easiest way to avoid all that is to not get burned.
Sure.
And here in Mississippi, we have a great tradition of celebrating the 4th of July and celebrating our country. And I grew up in Miami, Florida, and we just did that for one day. And here in Mississippi, we do it for at least 2 weekends.
Throughout the year.
And throughout the year.
Throughout the year. We celebrate New Year's Eve for a whole week here, too.
Oh, at least. At least. And so, but what a lot of people don't really think about is that the great tradition of celebrating the 4th of July is the gathering of friends and family. And whenever you get a lot of people together, you have food, you have activities, and all that entails different types of injuries that we see throughout the week and after at our burn center. You don't think about the food prep, and you're chopping onions, and the kids aren't in camp, and they're running underfoot, and a lapse of attention, and there goes your pinky. You stab yourself in the hand. And we see a bunch of those early on in the week, and the day before July 4th as everybody's getting ready for the 4th and for the festivities. And then we see the grill injuries, getting the grill together during cooking, and then after putting the grill away.
I want to say something about the grill. I'm glad you brought that up because I wasn't even thinking about it. Everybody's moving to these pellet smokers now for their grills. I've got one. I should have had to throw mine away because it broke yesterday. But that aside, they've got a bad thing about the smoke, about the churner building up. And if you're not paying attention, the little turn thing that makes them smoke, and it'll explode.
It will.
And if you're standing around it, not knowing what's going on, and that thing, it will blow. I mean, literally explode. It's happened to mine. I mean, and the grill's fine as long as you're not standing in front of it. It can withstand it. But if you're over it, messing with it, trying to figure out why isn't this thing working, and that's something that can blow up in your face and cause all kind of damage to your upper body. And again, I know as guys, we ha this stuff, until it happens to us. And the guys out there, I'm warning y'all, be careful with those pellet smokers because they've got a bad tenacity for that stuff to build up and explode when you're standing in front of it. Because mine's done it twice. I was just lucky I wasn't there.
And when those pellets explode, they will stick on you, and that will keep furthering the burn. And that's one of the big things when you get burned is you want to take off anything that was burned. Stop the burn. Stop, drop, and roll. I'm a kid of the 80s. And we were taught in school, stop, drop, and roll. We practiced it in the classroom.
Absolutely.
I remember, absolutely.
I'm 47, so I'm right there. Yeah.
But anymore, when we do education at camps or at schools, a lot of these kids haven't even heard of stop, drop, and roll. And so we try to emphasize, put the fire out. If you can't stop, drop, and roll, throw a blanket, throw a fire blanket, extinguisher, a bucket of water on somebody,
cover,
get it off.
Stop, drop, roll.
Yeah.
We had them all.
And then take off those clothes there because keeping them on can further the burn. So take off get those pellets off of you because that can make the burn even worse if they stay on. It's the same thing with ramen noodle burns on kids we see all the time. Get those noodles off the kids because that'll make them. It just makes them worse.
Hold on, that's the thing, because my girlfriend's son cooks ramen noodles in the kitchen all the time. Tell me about this, a ramen noodle burn. I didn't know this was a thing.
It is probably the most common burn that we see in the pediatric population. Our kids trying to get noodles off the stove or out of the microwave, trying to help grandma or whoever their caregiver is at the time, and they pour scalding water down their torso, and if there are noodles in there, they get stuck.
Okay.
And so that will make the burn deeper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I knew the water scenario, but I didn't take into account the noodles sticking. That is crazy. So you're here to promote or discuss or bring awareness to, should I say, fireworks safety.
Yes, sir.
This week, because I could jump down all these other rabbit holes. And before you get out of here, I do want to talk about if people want to donate to these charities to help families that are in from out of town with living expenses and stuff like that while they're here. That wasn't the reason for the visit, but you mentioned it during the break, and that is always something I'm passionate about, is helping people, when we can, and bringing awareness to charities like that directly affect people, boots on ground, so to say, versus like a big charity. No knock on like American Cancer Society and places like that, but I think people really like to see their money kept local. And being able to help people local is something that we're very passionate about
and
here.
For the Burn Foundation of America, Mississippi, every dollar raised in Mississippi goes to Mississippi burn patients. So it stays in the state, and it supports patients and families who've been burned.
Tell people real quick, while we're on it, might as well do it now. Tell people real quick how they can track that down and donate if that's what they want to do.
Well, it's called the Burn Foundation of America, and you can find them on Facebook and contact them. And there is a local person. Her name is Tara, and I can give you all of the information about how to donate. And they will sponsor hotel rooms and meals and transportation, compression garments to help our patients who just need that support.
That's very interesting. I'll get that information from you before you leave, and I'll get it shared and back into the comment section here. Anybody who's interested in that, reach out to me on the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944, or you can email me. I need to promote my email more often, clay@wyab.com. All right. We've got Miss Genovese. I love the name Genovese. I'm sure you've heard this before, but obviously with the Genovese crime family, the mafia ties to the last name. When it's the last name, but I watched a good movie over the weekend on Max. It was Alto Nights. I'm not a big Robert De Niro fan nowadays, but Robert De Niro was in it. Played a character. Well, he actually played two characters. One of them was Genovese, and so it's interesting to get somebody with that first name here. I really, really like that name. It's Genovese Conan, and we're discussing fireworks safety. We're going to get to that on the other side of this break here. This is the Clay Edwards Show here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, and we'll be right back on WYAB. If you got any questions about any of this type stuff, give us a text on the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you're watching on the stream, drop it in the comments, and we'll see if I can't squeeze a question in or two before we get out of here today. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB in Central Mississippi on 103.9. Of course, streaming worldwide at SaveJXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. We've got Miss Genovese Conan here in the studio with me this morning, discussing fire and just burn prevention, burn safety, and just ways for treatments from burn injuries. She's with the Mississippi Hand and Burn Rehabilitation Center. Genovese, we'd got a question on the Guns and Gear text line during the break, and I actually asked it to you off air because I didn't know if maybe Josh was messing with me a little bit, and I didn't want to ask a silly question and put you in an embarrassing spot. But you did say this is legitimate, and you said actually more people need to know that they can, in fact, donate their placentas, that placentas from C-sections are used to treat burns.
Actually, from both C-sections and vaginal deliveries. Not a lot of hospitals offer this or allow this. But yes, the placentas are used, and it's turned into what's called amniotic membrane. And we tend to use that on...
Do you guys use it?
We do. We tend to use it on faces, hands, necks. And that helps with both a cosmetic, the aesthetic outcome, as well as a functional outcome. It's very expensive, but it does tend to work very well for our patients, and especially on those patients with large burns or burns to their faces. The last thing you want to do is be reminded of that trauma. So the best outcome that we can give to a patient, the better, especially when they have to look at themselves in the mirror every single day.
Absolutely. I mean, and we see that burn injuries can be so devastating as far as just the lifelong effects of being your skin melting. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's something that doesn't recover like other stuff. I mean, because it's there, And you can't hide it.
On how deep the burn goes, it can go all the way down to the bone. And so then you're dealing with muscle loss and you need rehabilitation. And luckily we have amazing therapists who work with us, and they have the most experience of anybody in Mississippi with burn patients, to help patients recover their function and get back to their lives.
How can somebody go about donate? This seems like you can't just wake up one day and decide I want to go donate my placenta. How does one go about arranging donating that? So
I believe the only hospitals in the area that allow that, I think, are at like Merritt Health River Oaks currently. And OBGYNs there will often give people this information, and there's a group that comes and collects it after you have given birth. And you can just sign up and donate it, and it really does help.
Kind of like being an organ donor, I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Of course, but you're not dead.
You're not.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting. I learned something new today, so that's good stuff there. So, So the reason for the visit today was to really discuss about fireworks safety, and I've taken you down a bunch of different rabbit holes. What are some things that people need to? I mean, obviously, don't let the firework blow up in your hand.
Don't let the firework blow up in your hand is obviously one of them. What we recommend is to have a designated shooter, someone who's an adult, not wearing very baggy clothing. And as we all know, booze and boom is a great way to end up at our burn center.
That's my next T-shirt right there. Booze and boom. Right
there. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And so we recommend a designated shooter, and then some very basic common sense thing of keep the kids away. We have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And I'm sure you were once a 17-year-old boy. You can imagine the crazy stuff he can do. And then the 4-year-old is running around grabbing everything and getting into all sorts of things. She won't be in camp this week, and she'll have all this extra energy that we'll have to monitor. And the 10-month-old thinks everything needs to go in his mouth. Everything.
Yeah.
But you know what? Firecrackers don't really belong in mouths. So let's keep the kids away. Let's keep them away from the fireworks.
Keep the kids and the pets away from the fireworks.
Let's make sure that the fireworks, before we set them off, are not damaged. Because, I mean, let's face it, they are made in factories in China for the lowest possible price. And so let's make sure they're not damaged, because damaged fireworks can cause really catastrophic burns and unexpected and unintended results. They're not necessarily going to make really pretty pictures in the sky. They could go off on the ground and cause traumatic burns.
I was at a cookout a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was 4th of July or New Year's or whatever. And we were out in the driveway and they were shooting fireworks, and there were kids just so close to it. And they weren't my kids, but I was getting anxiety watching the kids that close. I'm like, guys, what are y'all doing? Get the kids back. Like, come up with a perimeter.
With a perimeter.
This is where the official shooter, the designated shooter, is at. Everybody else back here. This
Absolutely.
is not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. And we have great traditions of celebrating the 4th in this state. And let's try to teach our children how to enjoy them as safely as possible so they can teach their children and their grandchildren. And we can continue the legacy of celebrating the 4th with our families for generations to come. And the key to that first is to make sure that nobody gets burned and ends up in the burn center and becomes traumatized from that.
What is the most common injury that you see?
The most common, we see a lot of sparkler injuries. Those things get up to 4,000 degrees.
That's why I was actually going to say, if you got to pick a safe one, give your kid a sparkler. But that's the most common. It's interesting.
It's for the pediatrics, it's probably the most common. And my father was a hand surgeon. Did he stick those in my hand? Absolutely. But we also did common sense things like he let me have one sparkler at a time, and he kept a bucket of water. So in case it got too close to my hand, boom, that thing went right into that bucket. That was it. Don't let your kids pretend that sparklers are swords, because a stab in the face with a hot sparkler, that causes a serious burn. Another thing we see is the duds. People go to pick up the fire. They set off a firework, and then it doesn't go off.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like a hang fire at the range. You're not going to go look down the barrel of the gun to see where that ended up. No. You have your eyes on. You've got your ears on. You're going to safely try to clear that. let's approach that dud the same way. Those barbecue tongs and the gloves that you had on earlier from cooking out, let's use that to put them in a bucket of water, or use that bucket of water to splash it on the firework and set off, because there's still powder in that firework. It may not have gone off. It might just need a little jostle, and then boom. We see patients every single July 4th with exploded hand because they thought that was a dead firework.
Don't try to reuse a dud.
And do not try to relight that dud.
To the game. It's done.
Put it out. It's done. And then, of course, there's always somebody's holding that mortar, think it won't blow up in their hand because they're going to shoot it off at their friend because that's funny, and it goes off in their hand because you've changed the direction of how that powder is, and it no longer has that stable trajectory. So instead of going up, it goes boom.
I shouldn't have to tell everybody this, but natural selection is a thing. Don't do stupid stuff any more than you already have to. Don't shoot fireworks at each other. But if I have to tell you that, you're probably going to do it anyway. But anyway, I just think back to being at parties when we were young, 17, 18 years old, and shooting Roman candles at each other. It's just like, I don't know how we made it to our 40s, me anyway. Just all the dumb stuff that we did out there, at least how we made it with both eyes and hands and everything intact, doing all this foolishness. It was literally just playing Russian roulette with our extremities.
And often it works out, but then sometimes you end up calling us and saying, we need a burn center.
And this may be a little morbid to ask, but I'm just curious, what are some of the worst injuries that you've seen from some of these most simple things like a bottle rocket or a Roman candle, just everyday fireworks? What are some of the worst injuries that you've seen from, I think the most common fireworks would cause something that's every 9 out of 10 people who are going to be shooting fireworks will probably have this firework, and they ended up with this terrible outcome.
Probably the exploded hands from the mortars that you hold to shoot at somebody or shoot, at the trees. And then you can get, if a pack of fireworks goes off and you go to set off a pack of fireworks and all of a sudden the entire thing goes off, just a major, massive burn goes up. And
I remember there was something else that we used to do, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but try to tell people don't do this. We would make sparkler bombs, I think, or maybe it was a bottle rocket bombs. You would take some and you would duct tape them and you would pull like one out at the top and it would cause like a pressure thing, like don't
do that.
Do not make bombs out of bombs.
Nope.
My Captain Obvious statement of the day.
We don't see as many of those. We see a lot of they were holding it in their hands. They either didn't put it down enough or they were going to shoot it at somebody, and boom, there goes their...
trying to hold it and shoot it themselves and time it, and shooting it out of a bottle or whatever.
Yes.
Do you see any face injuries from fireworks, or is it mostly hands?
We see a bunch of face injuries. We see probably a lot more hand and face, but we do see some face. Is
the overwhelming majority of firework injuries the person that was shooting them or innocent victim that got shot or something by them?
Often the person who is shooting them or handling them.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of that we need to cover this morning?
There's all the other components of burns that happen around July 4th that everybody that nobody thinks about. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the weather forecast has changed. It's going to be hot and sunny most of this week now.
Dry.
And it's going to be dry. That pavement, that asphalt, the pool deck, that's all going to heat up. We're going to put pickleball in our driveway. I don't know about you, but when our 17-year-old was younger, could not keep him in shoes. That's going to get really hot and could cause severe burns.
I've always been very sensitive-footed. I know people pick at me about it, but I even walk around the house with flip-flops. But I know I'm a rarity in Mississippi. Most people like to run around shoeless.
I've seen most people run around shoeless outside.
See, I grew up with a pool in the backyard, and I have burned my feet, and I was like, I don't want to do that no more.
That will learn you.
It will. It will teach you the hard way. And it's those little pebble rocks.
Ooh,
yeah. You know what I'm talking about. It's concrete, but I mean it's solid. It's not gravel, but it's basically like walking on hot gravel.
Mm-hmm. And it'll cause a pretty good burn.
Absolutely.
And so then people will go to wet them down to cool it off, right? But if that hose has been sitting out there in your yard all day, that water could come out at scalding temperatures. So make sure that the first thing you don't hit is yourself or your kid. Everybody wants to do water play this time of year in the summer. Spray it on the ground for a few minutes first. Let that hot, steaming, scalding water out before you try to hit it with somebody. And then the other thing is the Mississippi sun is fierce. And we have seen actually quite a few sunburns lately
I was
that
just
have required
asked about
hospitalization.
sunburn.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but my grandma always said, sunblock, sunblock, sunblock. And it's really recommended for everybody. Sunblock, reapply if you get really sweaty or in the pool. Those big hats.
Yeah, I spray
Wear that.
sunblock on even if I've gotten a pretty good tan. I still put the sunblock on. I never use an accelerator. I'm just not. It ain't that serious to me. I just always spray a little sunblock on, especially shoulders, face, that area, top of my back.
It's a great way not to need to see us.
Man, I never thought about like extreme sunburn. Actually, I mean, I guess I have thought about it, but like at some point, your body tells you get out of the sun. But there's people who get out on the boats all weekend and stuff like that, and they get to drinking and not feeling any pain. And
Or you're chasing the kids around and you forget. That's what happened to me. I was chasing our then 10-year-old, who's 15 now, around, and I forgot to reapply, and I learned my lesson on that one.
I'm assuming the burn center is open for emergencies 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I mean, if they get an injury, come to Baptist.
Come to Baptist. We're open all the time.
Come to Baptist. Miss Genevieve Conan with the Mississippi Hand and Burn Rehabilitation Center. The website to donate is burnfoundation.com.
.net.
.net.
Yep.
Burnfoundation.net. Just select Mississippi, I guess, when you make your donation. If it doesn't automatically do it for you, just let them know. And your donation stays right here in Mississippi, and that will help families of burn victims with their stay here if they're from out of town, with any other expenses, with compression equipment, and any unforeseen expenses that can help make their visit or their traumatic experience a little bit easier. And that's something I'm just very passionate about, is helping people with stuff like that. So I'm really glad that we were able to touch on that this morning.
Me too.
And consider this an open invitation for you or your husband to come back anytime y'all want to talk about this kind of stuff. I do a little more research in advance. I'm sure I could do a full 2 hours talking about this kind of stuff. So, Miss Genevieve, I appreciate you coming in at the last minute too, because it was originally going to be your husband, and he had an emergency with a patient coming in, and that takes priority, obviously, over coming and talking on the radio. So, we really appreciate you coming in, and welcome to Mississippi. You're from Miami, from the big city.
Yeah, we've been here since about 2016, and we love our home.
Well,
we love this state.
Well, we love that you love it, and we're very proud of it. So we catch a lot of flack nationally for stuff, but neither here nor there. Once you're here, you realize that we all really do get along really well, and we love each other, and we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me on.
And I hope I never have to see you in a professional setting.
I hope so,
in
too.
your professional setting. All right, Miss Genevieve Conan. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. Don't forget burnfoundation.net. Donate today if you can. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. Interesting. Looks like we've lost the internet feed there. Connection issue. Anyway, it'll come back up or it won't. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We were discussing, well, first, real quick, let me tell you about Mazda of Jackson. Swing by, check out Mazda of Jackson today at Briarwood Drive, right there in Jackson. You can, of course, shop them online at MazdaofJackson.com. Check out the all-new CX-90. It is luxury redefined with the mid-size crossover SUVs. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous vehicle. European design, phenomenal. The interior of those things is so beautiful. I highly recommend checking it out before you pull the trigger on any other vehicle. And don't forget, all new Mazdas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty at no additional cost to you. That's right. Free of charge. Lifetime powertrain warranty from Mazda of Jackson. So shop them online, MazdaofJackson.com. Locally owned, locally operated. That's Mazda of Jackson. And I do apologize as I'm sitting here talking. I'm trying to get the online. I think I got it here. There we go. For some reason, my screen had gone away. All right, it looks like we got the screen back up on the online side of the show here. We are streaming worldwide at SaveJXN. on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. I appreciate the guests there. Let's jump back into the Lumumba crime family. It's his last day. It's Chokwe Lumumba's last day terrorizing the city of Jackson. It's his sister's last day with access to the mayor's office for all of her nonsense. It's Dr. Safari Amari, as Kingfish calls her, last day terrorizing the city of Jackson. It's the clown that they got running Public Works last day. Well, I assume it's his last day. Doing a job that he is not qualified to do. What they did the last 8 years is they took a bunch of people that had degrees, and you got to see this, I didn't even think about this. This right here, the Lumumba administration, is a great example of a useless college degree. And they've been brainwashed to think that, oh, they got a degree. We just hire them and we give them this title. And then they're realizing, oh, wait, you probably should know how to do this job, that degree ain't crap. That cultural arts degree, that black for a living degree, that liberal arts nonsense, that underwater basket weaving, that critical race theory, all that crap, that don't work in the real world. All those degrees that you've gone and gotten yourselves, I hate to knock HBCUs because this really ain't about them, but it's all these people from these HBCUs, and it's this, let me pull my brother up mentality. But what you're really doing is you're hurting your brother more than you're helping them, because you're putting them in a position they're not qualified to do just because they're black and got this degree. And y'all been brainwashed into thinking these degrees mean anything in the real world. They don't. As a matter of fact, I look at you a little different if you got one of these useless degrees. I respect somebody who went out and found out how to do something by, doing it. Doing it in the real world. Learning the hard way how to do it, the right way. That's why Jackson's Public Works is in such the disaster that it's in. It's because you've gone out and you've hired people who have never worked in public works. And you're making them the public works director. I mean, Chokwe went and hired this most recent activist to be the public works director, and he's got one of these fake traditional African names. He's got a radio show over at WMPR, I believe. He worked at Jackson Water doing customer relations or something. So, you know what? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like he had a beef with Jackson Water, and he worked there. So you know what? Let's hire him and make him the public works director. That'll be a good idea. Tell us all you know about how they do things over at Jackson Water. There's so much more to public works. And Jackson don't even handle the water no more. So what do you need to know about what to do with water? You lost that. You lost that privilege. But what I hope John Horn does is brings in some people who have actually done the jobs that they're being hired to do. Put some people over on the airport board or directors, not DJs. Put some people over there who have actually worked in economic development and whatever else would qualify you to be on the airport board. And we haven't even talked about the failure of the schools. Wingfield High School closed. One of the iconic, legendary Jackson Public Schools of my lifetime closed. Jackson is the fastest shrinking city in the country. The fastest, I'm saying it again, the fastest shrinking city in the country. It beat San Francisco. It's a population exodus. Calling it a crisis doesn't even do it justice. It is a population exodus out of the city. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It ain't white flight. It's not white flight. It can't be. It can't be white flight. When the city's the blackest city in America at over 90% black. There ain't enough whites to flight to make a difference. It's blacks leaving Jackson. I always found the whole white flight thing funny. Black folks call you racist. They insinuate that white flight is racism because you don't want to stick around. And people who have the means, imagine that. People who have worked hard and built a life and have the means to up and move and not have to sit around and marinate in foolishness. Somehow they're the bad guy because they didn't want to be around y'all's badass kids that you refuse to take care of. To live under the reign of terror of people like Chokwe Lumumba who hire people who have no idea what they're doing. That's white flight. That's racism. But you see, when black people move up out the mud, it's called moving on up. Look at y'all. Look at y'all getting up out the gutter. It's celebrated when y'all run off to Atlanta or Houston. Oh, you don't think we recognize? You don't think we know? I know. Like I said, I was the barbecue. I was on the inside. You know, it's celebrated when black folks move out of Jackson and go do better with themselves. But when white folks do it, it's racism. Then when white folks want to move back, it's gentrification, which y'all have decided is racism too. You cry about people not wanting to invest into the city. Then when they do, when they don't look like you, you call it racism. And these are all things that Lumumba got behind. As a white man, I would never open a business in the city of Jackson while Lumumba ran it. They don't want you. They've said it. His dad said it. We don't need any white businesses in Jackson. I remember when he said it, 3 hours later, he was sitting in Jack Herron's office getting a butt chewing. Jack Herron threatening to move all the dealerships out of Jackson. I watched it with my own eyes. A racist, by every definition of the word, was the mayor of Jackson for the last 8 years. In 2017, Jackson's population was approximately, and I don't know where they get these numbers from, 167,250 according to Smart Asset. In 2022, the population dropped to 146,000. That's a decline of 12.69% over 5 years, equating to the loss of 21,231 people. In 2023, it continued to drop with an estimated 143,709 people still living here, a further decrease of 2,174 from the previous year, 2022. Now, 2025 is projected, but the population is projected to be at 137,517. That is a drop of just shy of 30,000 people. And that's people that did the census and actually counted, not just people who were maybe renting a house and moved. I mean, this is like hard numbers. So the population from 2017 to 23, the population decreased from 167,250 to 143,709. A total loss of, okay, my math was a little off there. Total loss of 23,541 people over 6 years. The figure accounts for the net population change, which includes migration, people moving out or in births and deaths. The average annual decline rate is approximately 2 to 2.5%, with a cumulative loss of about 14.1% from 2017 to 2023. There was another staggering number here that I thought was interesting. Mississippi saw more deaths than births in 80% of the counties in 2021. That is wild to me. More people died than were born in Mississippi, in 80% of Mississippi, in 2021. Let's take a break and come back, land the plane for for hour 2. I'm keeping the stream going. We're not going to reset it today for hour 3. We've got John with Two Gun Tactical coming in. Should be a hell of a conversation. Y'all don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on WY. Welcome back in. Apologize for that little train wreck there at the end of the segment where it didn't go to break. Man, been a fun show today. We got a whole nother hour to go. Radio, don't go anywhere. We got John with Two Gun Tactical coming in the Heavy Hitters Show, coming in the studio for the Heavy Hitters Show. Talk about business, guns, and more online. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on WYAB. All right, guys, y'all don't go anywhere. I'm not going to kill the feed today and start over. We're going to keep the train rolling with one long 3-hour stream this morning. But I'll see y'all in 7 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Boom, shakalaka boom. It's the Heavy Hitters Show. Or is it the third hour of the Clay Edwards Show? You decide. And we'll call it whatever y'all like. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am Clay Edwards. This is my Heavy Hitters Hour where we discuss business with local entrepreneurs, businessmen, businesswomen, folks who have done things a little differently to find their success and to run their businesses. And people that I think every businessman or woman's probably got a pretty cool story for how they got going. Whether it was inheriting a family business and keeping it going, or if it was somebody who had an idea one day and decided, you know what, I think this is a good enough idea that other people will support it. Like my fellow sitting across from me here, Mr. John White with Two Gun Tactical. We're going to get to that. But first, we are broadcasting live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studios this morning. We want to thank them for their continued support of this platform and this show and this radio station. John, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here, Clay.
We have crossed paths quite a good bit at different functions and whatnot over the last few years, and been talking about getting together and talking for a while now. And you sent me an email, and boom, here we are, man. I appreciate you reaching out and appreciate you taking the time this morning to come in and talk with us. And I appreciate your support of WYAB. You've been on this station for as long as I have, at least, sponsoring Kim Wade's show and others, and we appreciate you. We really do, and appreciate small business owners like you.
Well, thanks. It's just an honor to be here. Always get out here and tell our story and see where we came from, and I think we've got a pretty unique story. But yeah, we were talking out in the hall just a little bit about how we've been running into each other, political events and other things, and so here we are.
No, I'm excited about it. Like I said, anytime you get a chance to talk to people who are out there doing it every day and dealing with the federal government, with the gun stuff, and just all that you guys have to deal with. And I got a kick. I hate that somebody broke into your business. That wasn't entertaining. But the way in which they got caught and the way we were able to put them all out on blast was pretty cool. Here recently, the Ridgeland store, right?
Yeah, that's right. We hadn't even been open a year yet. Got broken into. A guy took a couple of guns and a whole bunch of wrong ammunition. The Ridgeland PD caught him a couple of days later. This guy's 17 years old, man, and it just ruined his life.
Were you listening to? Were you able to listen to any of the show this morning while you were out there?
I was.
Did you hear me? I was discussing the homicide rates in Jackson. I broke it down by age.
Right.
And that age group right there, that 17 to 29, make up for the overwhelming majority of the homicides. And these are the people that actually died, not the people that did the killing. And I'm sure they, of course, make up the overwhelming majority of the killing. Actually, they had it broke down 0 to 17, but we're going to lump him into with 17, 18-year-olds. They make up the overwhelming majority of the deaths too. So, which I'm sure they also make up the majority of the killing.
Yeah, right. And what we see around here is killings. I heard Chief of JPD say one time, if a 24-year-old guy wants your car, just give him your car, but be worried about those 15, 16-year-olds because they're going to kill you. They're out there trying to make a name for themselves.
They are, and I think I maybe just commented in some random Instagram post over the weekend. I don't know. It all kind of runs together, but I made a comment. It was maybe a video about a guy that was a grown-ass man still living at his parents' house or something. or still living with his mom, didn't even have a car, this, that, and the other. And I said, well, there's this prison culture, and it's a real thing, and it's part of this culture, right, in these urban communities. But there's a prison culture within that culture, right? And it's these guys that just like sit out in the front yards. They don't do anything. They just play dominoes, cards, whatever, smoke dope, hang out, drink all day. And it's not, I mean, they're doing all they can to earn that stereotype and to keep it as being more than just a stereotype. Well, and it dawned on me, John, that when they go to prison, it's just the same thing with no responsibilities. They ain't got no bills for however many years. They just get to hang out with the boys, work out. You know, obviously getting drugs in the prison system ain't a problem here in Mississippi, or at least I know they're working on fixing it, but for years it ain't been a problem.
Yeah.
And that's just what they're doing. It's just so they don't mind committing these crimes is my point.
Yeah.
They don't look at consequences and repercussions like you and I. I mean, as much as I would like a 3 or 4 year break from having to pay my bills and from my responsibilities, I don't want to do it like that. And they don't care. It's just, and then there's this whole thing. Well, I won't get into that, but there's a whole other culture within that culture that they seem to be okay with that I'm not. But that aside, I don't know that the kid cares that he ruined his life.
I don't think so. And this wasn't his first time, so he's been in alternative school. They're charging him as an adult
as they
at
should.
17, and he is still in jail today. So there's more to the story. I don't know that story, but definitely this was not his first go-round. And just like all these other guys, they caught him because one of his buddies turned him in.
From Jackson?
No, he was from Ridgeland. He lived right behind the Ridgeland store there across the railroad tracks.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. So he had been scoping it out and decided he wanted to get in there.
Yeah, he came in and broke the glass, took 2 Glock 48. So these young guys are looking for anything with an extended mag and you can put a switch on. That's the only 2 Glocks I had that you can't do that to. And he stole a bunch of .357 Magnum ammo.
Had he been in the store prior?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess that's what I was getting at. He kind of knew where to look.
Yeah, he went right to those guns, busted the glass, grabbed those 2 guns, passed up some big money guns to grab those 2.
And you said that those were the 2 that you can't put a Glock switch on?
That's right.
And tell people what a Glock switch is that might not know.
So the Glock switch is, first of all, they are highly illegal.
Yes.
You're going to go to the federal pen if you're caught with one. But these guys are 3D printing them. It turns the Glock to a fully automatic Glock. And we have guys that come in and ask, do we sell them? And I tell them, dude, you can kill your neighbor and be out of jail tomorrow, but they catch you with a Glock switch, it's 5 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are not letting you go with that.
Nor should they.
Right, I agree.
No, I mean, I've just seen the damage these things can do. And that's how you end up with 0-year-olds being killed in Jackson is errant Glock switch just and just going crazy.
Right, that's exactly right.
John, I didn't mean to get to hang you up talking about Jackson crime or culture rot, but you were just a victim of both as far as I'm concerned. So I figured we would hit that, and it got to be a different level of stupid to go rob a gun store.
Yeah,
at any time of the day.
Yeah, and that. The Ridgeland Police Department missed him by 20 seconds. So they kind of knew who it was. Didn't take them long to pull our cameras and our audio. We've got one of the best security systems around, so we had everything we needed when he left.
Y'all sent me the video, or Kim Wade sent me the video. Somebody sent me the video, and we got it posted on our end and whatnot. I was like, this ain't – he didn't cover himself very well. So I was glad to see him get caught, and Ridgeland Police does a great job. I didn't mention them earlier because I was talking about Rankin County, but we talk about these cities that are buffers for these nicer cities and developments. Like I was giving Pearl props and Flowood and Richland for kind of being Operation Human Shield for the rest of Rankin County.
Right.
And I didn't even think to consider giving Ridgeland props for being Operation Human Shield for Madison and Gluckstadt.
Yes.
And, Ridgeland really does a hell of a job. And Brian Myers, right? Chief Myers.
Yeah, Chief Myers.
Chief Myers, yeah. Chief Myers does a great job there in Ridgeland. He probably thinks I don't like him because we always end up posting videos about people and cops there, but it's the complete opposite. I'm trying to show people what a-holes the people are being to cops, and it probably thinks I'm picking on his cops, and I promise I'm not. I think they do a great job, and I got a lot of respect for Ridgeland and what they do. And I stand by cops if they have to, get in the gray area a little bit and tune somebody up. Me being tuned up a couple times by guys like Dean Scott and Brian McCurley and others over the years, Dean never tuned me up like that, but I just lumped Dean in because I heard stories about Dean tuning people up and it changing their lives for the better if they let it. But you got to talk to knuckleheads a different kind of way.
That's right.
You can't have a normal conversation with a knucklehead because they don't understand that. You got to drop an F-bomb and maybe rough them up a little bit to get through to them sometimes.
Speak their language sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes that's physical.
That's right.
Sometimes that's physical. John, so were you in the military?
I did. I spent 33 years out at the Mississippi Air National Guard, 25 of that full-time. I was a senior intelligence officer. I got lots of deployments into Iraq, Afghanistan under my belt.
How old are you?
I am 58.
58. Yeah, I kind of spied on your Facebook a little last night trying to, see if I could get anything for us to talk on. But I did see your photos from some time in the military. I was like, well, that makes sense. So how long have you been doing the gun stuff? Did you work at a gun store and decide you wanted to get into this? I mean, how did Two Gun come about? Because I remember seeing when the Rankin County location, I guess the first location, was being built, thinking, what a great idea. And I knew we had Surplus City that did that. Wasn't it Surplus City?
Yeah.
On 80 that had the indoor range. And that was the only one. We had that growing up. So it wasn't necessarily a new concept to the area, but we hadn't had one in a while. And definitely had not had one in Rankin County that I was aware of. So I was like, man, that's going to work. You just see something sometimes. You're like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I being a combat vet, 33 years in the military, I shot 5 times in the military. That's crazy. So they did not teach me how to shoot or instruct. I've been a Boy Scout volunteer.
Training and everything, just 5 times?
Yeah, 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I figured there'd be hundreds of hours of range time.
No, and I'm going to move into that here in just a second. But I've been a Boy Scout volunteer for over 30 years, and I've been teaching at summer camp every year for the last almost 25 years now. So I've been teaching kids rifle, pistol, shotgun. So our camp down in Hazelhurst, Hood Scout Reservation, was building an outdoor range, and I got involved in that and kind of helped them design that, and just kind of got the bug about, hey, we need something indoor. And my last tour in Afghanistan was 2015. I was the senior intelligence officer for the wing, and I had 2 what we call first-term airmen. It was their first time to be first enlistment, and they came and we were wearing the Beretta M9 9mm, and I started asking these 2 airmen, do they know how to handle their 9mm, and both of them said, we don't even know what this thing is. So every morning we would show up downstairs where we had a safe area to clear the firearms, and I taught them how to load, how to unload, how to cock the thing, how to work the slide, and they knew nothing. And that's when the idea really jumped into my head, because we have plenty of stuff out here for men and alpha males, but everybody's missing the ladies market, and the ladies buy more guns than the guys do right now.
Look, I've had this conversation as a father of girls and, a straight man, keeps women around, a girlfriend. There's a conversation that I have with them a good bit, and shame on me, I need to shoot more. I couldn't tell you the last time I shot any of my guns. I've bought guns more recently than I've shot guns, and that's probably never the situation you want to be in, unless it was yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is, man. It's a lot of women. That seems like a very underserved market. You're very, very great points. Guys, we're prompt to just go pull up in a yard somewhere outside the city limits, of course, and have fun shooting our guns. Women, they're not really programmed like that. The way their social circles are, there's probably not a lot of women saying, let's go out to the ranch and shoot some gun, or go out to the farm and shoot guns today. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I know it does. Shout out to my friends Ashley Jones and Heather Smith and that bunch that I know do that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, rule of thumb, not so much.
Yeah, and if you come into our store, my wife Penny and I traveled all over the South and the Southeast looking at ranges, and we would pick things that we liked and we didn't like. Most ranges kind of that we went into looked like maybe a pawn shop, very dense and dark, guns way down low under the counter. So if you come into our store, it's LED lights everywhere. You can see all across the store, across our displays, and our guns are on the wall, so you have to walk up to the wall. You don't have to bend down, look under a counter. And then one of my salesmen or salesperson will come out and talk with you and interact with you and pull those firearms out and let you hold them, let you look at them, kind of thing.
I like it. All right, let's take a break real quick. We got John White, Two Gun Tactical, here in the studio with us this morning, discussing how he got into business, the whole Two Gun Tactical operation, and more. If you got any questions, you can drop them in the comment section online or shoot a text to the Guns and Gear text line at 769-241-1944. And we'll get to asking John those. I want to talk about the Kim Wade Day over there at Guns and Gear, at Two Gun Tactical as well. All these gun titles.
Yeah.
All these gun shop names, man. Just more great locally owned businesses, man. We're glad to have them all
yes.
over here at WYAB. We'll be right back. Y'all don't go anywhere. To Heavy Hitters with Clay Edwards, show about entrepreneurship and outlaw entrepreneurs, our local businessmen and women and leaders in the community that are doing cool things. And I think that just businesses that I want to highlight. Some of them are sponsors here at the radio station. Some aren't. And that's okay. Maybe they will be after they experience our large audience supporting them and reaching out to them. If you think that sounds like something you may be interested in, I'm not opposed to giving you a free interview here at WYAB on this show. If it's something that I think my audience will find interesting, reach out to me, clay@wyab.com, clay@wyab.com, and just put in the subject title, Heavy Hitters. And I'm more apt to open those emails than others, as long as you're not trying to sell me something that I don't need. Maybe I do need it and don't want to buy it. Maybe that's usually the case, ain't it, John?
That's exactly right.
So I need it, but I don't need it. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Look, we got John White. He is the boss man over there at Two Gun Tactical. I want to call it Guns and Gear because I say that so often. Shout out to Hunter and the team out there. You were saying you do some business with Hunter and stuff too.
Yeah, we do, and Hunter does with us. So
yeah.
we reach out and do favors for each other. That's what we got to do in this business.
But I feel like I'm the same way with the radio stuff. I got one of my best friends is Jake Wimberly over at ESPN. They pretend there's this fourth wall in media where you're not supposed to talk about the other people or the other radio stations. I'm like, I don't care. If I'm going to talk about somebody, I'm going to talk about them, good, bad, indifferent. And, I like to do business with folks and whatnot. And I just think that we all should be like that. We need to support each other. You may be in competition with one another. John, when I was in the bar business downtown, I would have begged for 10 other bars to open up around me.
That's right, yeah.
And let's get everybody downtown or to wherever. If I'm in a strip mall, I want there to be everything in that mall to be a bar or a restaurant or whatever I'm doing. I mean, 2 gun stores opening up beside you probably wouldn't be the worst thing.
That's right.
Because that keeps more people coming over there. Their marketing dollars potentially helping you and vice versa. And I don't know if everybody looks at things quite like that. I wouldn't want 10 gun ranges opening up beside my gun range.
Right.
But if we're just talking about the retail side of things,
yeah.
I don't think competition is a bad thing at all.
It's not. And one thing that my guys will tell you, we never talk negative about another business in our business.
That's the best way to get me to not do business with you is to talk
right.
business. It's to talk bad about another business. I know an instance that happened recently that ended up costing somebody a lot of money because they did that very thing.
Yeah, no, our guys come in, and if they complain about something, a customer, we'll say, hey, we're sorry you had that experience. How can we help make that a better experience here
Sure.
at Two Gun Tactical?
No, and that's the way to do it. And I got to remind myself of that sometimes when I bring my personal grievances on the air sometimes. But, man, you just want to wring somebody's throat sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's always best to be the bigger person. But especially when it comes to business, not bashing another business, because you don't know. I mean, after being in sales for almost 12, 13 years in the car business, buyers are liars.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And, they want to pivot and to try to get you to feel sorry for them, to do something that they want you to do because woe is me. And I've learned to not believe everything people say.
Yeah, and, we love competition. And we'll tell people that. People come in and say, well, what do you think about your competition? And I said, look, the only person I'm in competition with is me. So, because it's owning your own business, it's an everyday thing. We're trying to come up with new ideas and new ways to help. So it's an everyday process trying to make us better to serve you.
Absolutely. It's the same way with this radio show. If somebody starts a new show 7 to 9 every day and they start peeling away my listeners, that's on me. That's my fault. I lost those listeners because I wasn't doing something that they wanted or I wasn't putting in the proper amount of show prep, or I got lazy, I lost those listeners. Nobody came and took them from me.
Yeah.
Competition is definitely better for you. And that's why I love that we've got such a stacked roster over here at WYAB now, is that I don't want to be the worst guy on the format. I want to be considered one of the horses.
That's right. And it's an everyday thought process to get there. If you lose customers or listeners, you got to figure out a way how to get them back. That's the deal.
It is. And sometimes that involves swallowing your pride and having to pick up the phone, especially if there's a particular customer or a listener that you lost or had a bad experience with. Sometimes, you just got to bite the bullet and say, hey, I was in the wrong, even if you weren't.
Yep.
And just what do I got to do to earn your business back or earn your ears back or whatever.
That's right. And sometimes it's just that phone call. Mm-hmm. We've had that same thing. Customers maybe disgruntled and leave, and I'll call them and say, hey, what can we do this back? And they said, well, just a phone call does it. I'm just glad that you called me as the owner of Two Gun Tactical, and that means a lot to me. So we're going to come back to your business.
John, so for people that don't know, Two Gun Tactical is an indoor shooting range and gun store. And I'm assuming you do gun repairs, gunsmithing, Cerakoting, all of that stuff?
No, we do very small gunsmithing. We send all our gunsmithing to Guns and Gear and our Cerakoting because we just have a lot going on. I don't have the time to invest in that stuff, and Hunter's got some really good stuff. So
that's cool. I mean, and just the fact that you even say that, I think it says a lot about how you do business. We would rather just send it over here to another locally owned business that they have the ability to do this a little bit better than we do. I think that speaks volumes.
That's right.
About your integrity. And truly, I'm not just saying that. I think it really does. A lot of people are like, well, I'll middleman it and I'll mark the price up a little bit and then I'll send it over here and nobody will be any worse for the wear. When it's just easier sometimes just to say, hey man, they're the specialists, let them rock it.
Yeah, that's much easier for us. And again, we get to kind of move the business around a little bit.
Says a lot about
it
you.
on to him.
Says a lot about you. So, indoor shooting facility. How long have you guys been open?
So the Flowwood office coming in to this November will be 8 years. Of course,
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know it. We just hit our 1 year anniversary at Ridgeland.
Man, so here's what I want to do, John, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I know y'all do a Kim Wade Day.
We do.
I want to do, and I've been thinking about this since we agreed to do the show. I want to do a Clay Edwards Show listener. Maybe we may have to plan it a little more than just, hey, y'all show up, maybe RSVP or something. But I want to do a FAFO Friday over there.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you can do Fridays. I don't know how your book looks, your schedule looks. But I'm thinking a FAFO Friday for Clay Edwards Show listeners that want to come over and shoot some guns.
Yeah, man. We love that kind of stuff. And we do it for, we do it for scouts and we do it for real estate agents. We've had tons of people that say, hey, we want to rent your classroom facility and we want to shoot some guns, so we're bringing the food. We'd love to participate in that.
So, we'll work something out. I don't want them to have to pay to come. I want to, me thanking as a thank you from me to them, and maybe we can get one of the other great restaurant sponsors to provide some food.
Oh, yeah.
Because people can bring food in to do this?
Yeah, so the one in Ridgeland, of course, we learned some things building the one in Flowwood. The one in Ridgeland is the largest one in the state. Mm-hmm. We've got a classroom that'll hold 100 people, and we built a little, we call it our coffee bar, but we have a sink and an ice machine, and then so we can handle food there. You can have food brought in, and we have a lot of groups that do that.
I'm guessing booze are frowned upon?
Yeah, probably. We might could do some booze after you shoot.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know you are,
but I mean, it would be fun.
It would be fun.
A little booze and boom, to steal a line from earlier. The lady with the burn center, she's talking about the fireworks, and I guess they have a little slogan about mixing booze and boom. No, I said booze and boom. I wrote it down. Like that's the that's the next T-shirt.
That's the next T-shirt. That's right.
Or outdoor shooting adventure.
Yeah,
one or the other. I think they do. What's his name? I just got his book. He does this event called Shoot. It's called Run, Drink, Shoot, or Run, Lift, Shoot.
Oh yeah.
And they drink some beer and stuff with it too. I'm like, that's actually a great idea. Kind of do a marathon, a shooting, and a lifting. And, just your man type stuff. But Tulsi Gabbard was part of one of them too, so women partake in it too.
Yeah.
I was like, that's actually a really good idea. We could put something together like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
you got the parking lot out there in Ridgeland for it for sure.
We do. We got a lot of space in Ridgeland. That was a perfect spot for us too.
I mean, I'm really glad to see you guys open that one up there, and it's right there by the Costco. You got that new cut through right there that pulls the Parkway to 51, or 50, or North State Street, whatever you want to call it. So, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to get back into more about how the business came about and some of the things that you've learned along the way.
Okay.
Two Gun Tactical owner John White here in the studio with me this morning. I will eventually quit talking about all my crazy ideas and actually get back to talking about them. But hey, look, man, just because it's a crazy idea doesn't mean you and your group can't do it. John, real quick before the break, if anybody is interested in bringing their group out, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, you can just contact me at John at Two Gun Tactical. In fact, after I leave here, I've got a private class going on for some physicians. They want to train on a Monday when nobody else is around because they just want to keep it private what they do. So I'll be headed there right after I leave here.
So obviously, private sessions on a Monday is an option.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
And we do several state agencies that carry that don't want people to know that they carry. So that's a big business for us too on Mondays.
Department of Revenue. Let me say it. No, I'm kidding. Not really. All right. We'll be right back. Guys, let me know in the comments if you're watching here or if you're on the text message machine, should we do a Clay Edwards Show shooting party on a Friday at Guns and Gear? Y'all let me know, and we're going to book this thing. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, or the Heavy Hitters Show, here with John White, owner of Two Gun Tactical, there with two great locations, Ridgeland on Highway 51, and right there, that's as soon as you come over into Ridgeland, basically. And, of course, Flowwood. Is that Flowwood Drive, John?
It is. It's, we're on the corner of Flowwood Drive and Casey's Lane.
So, and y'all, of course, are a full-service gun store. What are some of the brands you sell?
We sell everything. I mean, if we don't have it, we can special order it. We don't charge anything extra for special orders. We sell all the hot stuff when we get it. We have a few Kel-Tecs. Mostly the shotgun Kel-Tecs and the sub 2000s are the biggest sellers.
I've been looking at some Kel-Tec online. They call them like truck guns. Does that sound familiar? I guess maybe it's like a shortened rifle sort of.
Yeah, that's that sub 2000.
Is that what that is?
Is it folds?
I think so. Yeah, the folding gun.
Yeah,
I got a CZ Scorpion. Love it. It's probably my favorite gun that I have. But I would like to have like one of these folding Kel-Tecs.
Yeah, suppressor ready. Got plenty of rail system on them. You can get them in 9s, 40s. They hold Glock mags, which is really important.
Can I put a switch on it?
No, you can't put a switch on it.
Dang it!
But you can just about do anything else with it.
I'm just thinking about that, obviously. For people just tuning in, we had a conversation about the switches earlier. I know, not trying to get John looped into any illegal shenanigans here. So, look, one of the other things, let's circle back, man. Kind of, this is supposed to be about you guys and you and kind of how you became about being in business. Had you owned a business before?
I had owned a business right before 9/11. So when 9/11 hit, 9/12, I left my house going to the Pentagon. And I had a carpet cleaning business and ended up selling it just because I started deploying so much.
So you went and were you already in the military?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were already in the military. I was going to say, did you? I forget, it's almost 25 years ago. I was like, did you sign up right after? But
no, I signed up in 84.
84.
Yeah.
That was a great year for music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Van Halen, Michael Jackson, Thriller.
Yeah, Bryan Adams.
So many great albums came out in 84. 84 and 89 were two of the best years ever for music from our generation anyway.
Right, that's right.
So what kind of business? You said a carpet cleaning?
Yeah, carpet cleaning.
And then you did the military, and you only shot like 5 times in the entire military. So this idea to do a gun store really didn't come from just the fact that you fell in love with guns in the military. That's
right. Yeah, it came from Boy Scouts. And me becoming an instructor, that's what changed things for me, becoming a certified instructor.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Certified instructor, do y'all do the classes there to get certified for enhanced, concealed? And
yeah, we start off with a beginner's class, and we have ladies-only beginner classes. Now, we also do personal instruction. most of my guys that are over 21 are NRA instructors. We do the enhanced carry class. We do 3 a month, and they're extremely popular. We try to do 1 at Flowood, 2 at Ridgeland, and we do a draw from the holster class, which is just a 2-hour class on Tuesday. If you take that class, you can practice drawing from your holster at Two Gun Tactical. So we also do a basic AR class for all those people that have ARs and have no idea how they work or how they function. Or how to clean them.
Raising my hand in the studio here.
Yeah, we do those. And we're about to offer some more advanced training. So I'm certified in rifle, pistol, shotgun, personal protection inside the home, personal protection outside the home, defensive pistol, the new NRA CCW. And I'm also a training counselor with the NRA, which means I can certify my own instructors. There's very few of us in the state of Mississippi.
I like it. So, I'm a gun guy in the sense that I like guns, but I really don't know much about guns. I'll be the first to admit, I'll see something, I'll do a little bit of basic research on it, and I'm going to buy that gun. I think I'll enjoy owning that. And, everyone has a different purpose, so to say. But these basic classes, and I think there's a lot of guys out there like me, and we're probably in the majority, if I had to guess, that wanted an AR because it looked cool.
Yeah.
Wanted a CZ Scorpion because it looked cool. But, I can barely, I can load my gun and, whatnot. But I don't know. I couldn't take my gun apart and clean it and put it back together.
Yeah.
My pistol.
Yeah, we do all of that.
Learn how to do that and really get familiar with your firearm. I think this is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
Those classes, what do those classes run as far as entry level? I think sometimes people think they can't afford it.
Yeah, so the basic class is $100. It's 3 hours. It's 2-hour class time, and then an hour on the range. The enhanced carry is $175, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that teach that class for a little bit less, but we are inside, so you're not sitting under some pop tent, and you don't have to use a porta potty. But let me tell you what we do on our enhanced carry class. If you take our class and want to come back, you can come back for free. We don't charge you for the second time. So let's just say you had a friend that doesn't want to come back by themselves. You can come in. The most important thing that I do, and I think that we're the only ones around that offer, that if you ever use your firearm in self-defense, I'm going to come to court with you at no charge to anybody and tell the court what I taught you, because we do it exactly as the state says, plus a little bit more. But I'm not hiding anything. I'm not trying to get your $100 and push you out the door in 2 hours. And when you leave, you are certified by state standards.
Have you had to do that?
I have not.
Hope you don't have to.
I hope I never have to shoot anybody. I hope any of my students never have to shoot anybody.
Not to get too in the weeds here, I know how I think it's your ad, right, that talks about the restraining order, just a sheet of paper.
That's right.
I had to get somebody arrested a couple of weeks ago for just, I don't know if you want to call it stalking or threats or some combination of all that. Because, John, I believe crazy people. When they tell you they're going to do something, I listen to them.
That's right.
And I've been thinking a lot about your ad there about the restraining orders just being a sheet of paper. Because I do worry about that kind of stuff, having to, shoot somebody or whatever, because they're just crazy people out there. I'm not even talking about people that necessarily might want to rob me or something like that, because I think there's crazy people out there that get way too caught up in the politics of this stuff, of whatever they've concocted in their head is going on, and you just don't know. You can't be too prepared. And I think these classes are great for that, a quick kind of firearm self-defense type class.
Well, and Clay, when people come in and ask me, do I carry a gun? I carry a gun every day, all the time. If I'm on the lawnmower, if I'm on my tractor, I got a firearm on. And this is why I tell them that. Pre-COVID, 500,000 guns in America were pulled in self-defense and never fired, and it stopped the threat. Last year, that was 2 million. So last year in America, 2 million legal guns were pulled, and it stopped the threat. So I'm really wearing a firearm just to stop the threat. There's more likelihood of me just pulling it and not using it than there is using it.
It's really refreshing to hear you say that, because I get so tired of these people who say, oh, if you pull it, You better be ready to use it. Well, yeah, no kidding. You better be ready to use it. But I'm not pulling, I hope. Let me rephrase that because I don't know what happens till it happens. I hope that if I ever have to pull my gun, that it's with the intention of being able to give somebody a warning. If we're at the fa, you're about to reach the foe. If you move or do anything else continuing on the path that you're going. Now, if they got one out and it's me or them, it's may the best man win, I guess. But my intentions is never to have to shoot anybody. It's
right.
To hope that the presence of the firearm makes them realize that this has gone on far enough. This stops now.
Yeah, that's right. And if you think about it, if those guys knew you had a firearm before they approached you, they're not going to approach you.
No.
Crooks are cowards. So the minute they see that firearm, that's going to go. I have pulled my firearm in self-defense, never fired it. But when that gun came out of the holster, those two guys went different directions because they knew they were in for a fight.
Yeah, John, and it scares me to death in being somewhere like Jackson with Jody Owens being a George Soros-funded DA and looking at what they did to Anthony Fox a couple years ago. And that firearm wasn't even involved in that. But if somebody has to defend themselves and you might line up, maybe you don't fit the demographic that is allowed to partake in self-defense in Jackson, and maybe the bad guy, was another demographic that is allowed to, well, you go from being the victim to being the defendant real quick. And that's one of the main reasons I don't go out in Jackson anymore is I'm worried about that. And it goes back to what you were saying about you go to court with people. And I think that really means a lot to somebody that's worried to death that they're going to end up going to prison because they defended themselves and had to shoot one of these future astronauts, rocket scientists, and engineers. Yeah,
and we also have a product called Right to Bear. So for $15 a month, they pay your legal fees.
Is that like USSA type thing? USSC? I forget the name of it. But
it's a great product.
Yeah, but similar in the same vein kind of thing.
But I'm on their national advisory board. I have had that company that you just mentioned come in and ask me, and I don't let them come into my office. Anyway,
they're kind of expensive too.
Yeah. So this is $15 a month, no fees, no caps. And let's just say if you're one of my members and you have a question, you can come to me or Veronica at the Flowwood store because we are reps of the company.
What's it called?
Right to Bear.
Right to RIGHT?
Yes. And you can come into either location and pick up flyers and some information. Ask me or Veronica some questions. We'll be glad to answer those questions.
I'm very interested in that because I was a member of that other organization. I think I was paying $40 a month or something, $60 a month. And I was like, bills start tightening up. You're like, what can go? And it was one of the first things to get cut off. But I have been weary about that, especially now. I need to get signed back up. So Right to Bear sounds like it just earned my business.
Yeah, and it covers you if you use anything in self-defense. Your fist, a baseball bat, your vehicle. So if you're going to carry a firearm, I think it's essential that you have something like that.
All right, let's take our last break, come back, land the plane with John White, owner of Two Gun Tactical in Flowwood and Ridgeland. I can always talk guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And self-defense. All right, man, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back in. We got a couple minutes here to actually land the plane, more so than normal. We got John White, owner of Two Gun Tactical in Ridgeland and Flowwood. Guys, just get by there and see these folks, see what all they have to offer. John, I ask all my guests on this show, on this heavy hitter show, what is your definition of success? I mean, you've obviously achieved a level of it aesthetically anyway, with the businesses and whatnot. What do you call success?
My level of success, I think my definition is I don't care about the wealth. All my friends, 90% of my friends come from since I've opened Two Gun Tactical. Just being out there and having a great reputation as a small business owner. Listen, I would have never thought I would have ever owned a gun range, much less two. So it's my dream. I'm passionate about it. I work a lot. So everybody thinks that once you own a business, you got a lot of money, and that's not true, man. We're just working to make it happen. But we we want a family-oriented place where you can bring the kids in and you don't have to worry about what they hear. So that's the kind of place we like to have.
I like, man, just success is, being respected in the community. I think this is one of the better answers that I've got. I've had so many great answers to this question, but I like that. Sometimes success is just being respected and being a pillar of the community. It's not about dollars. Obviously, money helps because it allows you to create the opportunity to do these things, and you got to generate X amount to be able to keep the train rolling on down the tracks. But I think being respected and being recognized as a man that people can depend on is probably the greatest version of success, whether that's at home, at work, or anywhere else. John, I appreciate it, brother. We'll get people the details about our FAFO meetup.
Absolutely.
Here soon. Y'all stay blessed. See y'all back tomorrow. Peace.